Live from WRAL News Headquarters in Raleigh, your number one source for local news. WRAL News, coverage you can count on.
Walking out the door this morning in some of our southern counties to scattered rain. I'll show you when you could see some of this today.
I'm Brett Neese in Asheville this morning, where roadblocks are still in place around the downtown area as cleanup from Helene continues. Coming up, some of the heartbreaking stories that we're hearing from those who live here.
And local groups working to help people in the western part of our state. How you can get involved in the effort to bring water, food, and other much needed supplies to the areas that were hit hardest by Helene. You've seen the videos, you've seen the photos. It is devastating in the western part of our state. We'll get to that and Brett coming up. Thanks for joining us. I'm Michelle McConaughey.
I'm Chris Lemon. We know a lot of people probably are wondering, how can I help?
How
Don't
can I
worry.
help?
We're going to get to that in just a bit. We do want to start your day off with meteorologist Elizabeth Gardner to tell you how your weather forecast is beginning this Monday.
We got some rain that you have to deal with out there this morning, unfortunately, I would say unfortunately, because we really don't need any more rain. It's just south of Raleigh, parts of Lee County, Harnett County, and Johnston County. It's starting to move into the southern part of Wake County right now as well. We had some rain earlier up near the Virginia line, but that's mostly fizzled out. But you can see from Sanford over toward Lillington and Anger. We'll move it back up a little bit farther north. Some of the rain starting to move into Fuquay Arena right now. We'll continue to lift northward, most likely up toward Garner and Clayton, as well as Wilson's Mills, as this continues to move along. It's also going to be heavy at times in some places. Later this afternoon, mid to late afternoon, we may see some more redevelopment of these showers. Heavy at times again in some pockets. So we do have a low risk for flooding in parts of the viewing area. I'll show you that flood risk map in just a little bit. Take a live look at Sanford. We had a shower roll through here, and you can see the wet streets. So running into that in certain parts of the viewing area this morning. 72 is our temperature in the triangle with a dew point of 71. So it's really warm and really muggy. We'll see highs this afternoon in the low 80s. Coming up, we're going to talk a little bit more about some of our total rainfall today and tomorrow. Ken?
All right, happening now at 8:02. A couple of incidents we want to bring to your attention this morning here in the WRAL Traffic Center. Let's start with this crash in the exit ramp right there at I-440 westbound. That's those lanes coming off of 87, and those southbound lanes. You can see the huge delay it's causing right there at New Hope Road. So keep that in mind. If you're coming in from 87 this morning, you can get off at Smithfield Road and head over to Pool Road as an alternate route. That way you can avoid what's happening there on near New Hope Road on 87. This is a serious crash on Brentwood Road in the southbound lane near North Raleigh Boulevard. We can see some major slowdown there on Brentwood Road. So keep that in mind if you're about to head out. Maybe you would get on Skycrest, and that will be an alternate route for you. As we look at the Beltline this morning, as we isolate the Beltline, you can see what's happening there. There's a northern loop of the Beltline. You're looking at a 3 to 5 minute delay this morning. Similarly, on the south side, you're probably looking just at a couple minute delay when you really look at the map. This is a look at I-440 and Wake Forest Road. You can see traffic is flowing nicely in both directions this morning. The usual congestion that you see this morning when you're getting ready to head out. Elsewhere, we're seeing the usual trouble spot on Wake Forest coming in off US 1, and a little bit of a slowdown there on I-85 and those southbound lanes. And boy, if you're coming in from Moore County, Lee County, and using US 1, you're looking at some serious delays this morning. Let's take a look at some of those delay maps this morning. You're looking at a 25-minute delay coming in from US 1 in the Apex area, 13 minutes coming in from US 1 on Wake Forest Road, and of course, you got a 6-minute delay on those southbound lanes coming in on 87.
Thanks, Ken. This morning, we're seeing the images of the catastrophic flooding Helene's path left behind in western North Carolina. Officials are comparing it to the disaster Hurricane Katrina left behind. Thousands of western Carolina people are without power, cell service, and drinking water. And statewide, more than 450,000 customers still in the dark right now. At least 30 people have been killed in Buncombe County because of flooding from Helene, as well as 2 sheriff's deputies. Today, Governor Roy Cooper will join other state and FEMA leaders in Asheville to assess the storm damage. And WRAL's Brett Neese joins us live from Biltmore Village in Asheville, one of the hardest hit areas, Brett. And the floodwaters have receded. We're now starting to see some of the damage left behind.
Yeah, some of the damage, and now we're starting to see people trying to access Biltmore Village at this point, Michelle, but they are hitting a number of roadblocks like this one behind me, and police trying to tell them some of the detours that they can to get around this, because this is usually one of the main roads to get to the hospital, which is just up on the other side of the village. Instead, Folks that are trying to get there to either see loved ones or work there are taking 20 and 30-minute detours around the downtown area, one of the hardest hit areas. I want to show you this video though. Some people just collecting flood water, recollecting it in order to use it to flush their toilets at homes. That's what people are going through without running water here in this area. There's mud and debris everywhere. Residents telling us it is hard to overstate how bad this situation is. Cell service continues to be limited. So much of the downtown area, including the River Arch district, has been essentially wiped out. Mark Goldwaite owns the Asheville Guitar Bar in the River Arch district. He says that his building was completely destroyed by flooding. He got inside his bar for the first time on Sunday.
Confronted somebody already stealing artwork out of the rubble. It's just, it shouldn't happen. Give us a break. We just lost everything. Let us try to recoup at least what we can.
It's just awful to hear some of these stories out of this. Of course, there are 15,000 technicians or more in this area trying to get power back on as quickly as possible. They've come from all over the country, even parts of Canada, Michelle. Their work that they have ahead of them is weeks, if not months.
It's definitely substantial what they're going to go through. And Brett, I know that there is a lot of help. A lot of people are coming together to help. Have you seen any of that help in the area so far? Have you seen any deliveries?
Yeah, one thing that we did notice, that we did see, a really cool delivery was from the Cajun Navy. They have delivered supplies by helicopter. We have some video to show you what that looked like, what that supply drop looked like. Part of that supply drop includes Starlink satellites. That's how we're able to deliver this report to you, is this technology, in order to get beamed up to the satellite, connected, so that we can be connected and live for you all morning long. This technology also helping all of these residents in this area reconnect. Some of them having lost communication for days and their loved ones not even knowing if they are okay. So that communication is vital at this point. Of course, we know that there will be more supply drops like this coming. Michelle.
An all hands on deck effort. Brett Neese live for us in the western part of our state. Thanks, Brett.
Talking about helping, people here locally are trying to provide assistance for people who Helene affected in western North Carolina. Today, some churches in Wake County will deliver pallets of water to people in desperate need of it. Let's bring in WRAL's Laura Levine. She joins us live from Apex Baptist Church. Laura, one of the big things people out west need right now, clean drinking water.
Volunteers here at Apex Baptist Church gathered early this morning, loaded up their trucks and headed out. They loaded up the vehicles with cases of water just like this. The Apex mission collected hundreds of cases, which is dire right now in the hardest hit areas, a very dire need. So you can see them gathering here dark and early as they were loading up the trailers attached to those trucks. The church was full of supplies this morning, ready to be delivered. The lead pastor here tells me he felt called upon yesterday during his sermon to ask for water donations. And before the service ended, they became overwhelmed with that support. In a briefing Sunday, officials said hundreds of thousands of residents may not have access to water for weeks in western North Carolina due to major infrastructure damage to dozens of water plants. Lead pastor Zab Cook, who is from Florida and recently experienced Hurricane Michaels back in 2018, he tells me he knows firsthand what these people are dealing with.
We know it's just a drop in the bucket. There's a big issue out there, and it's going to be ongoing for months and months, maybe even years, cleaning up. But if we can do anything to help someone bring the water to them, help them to feel a little better about their situation, we want to try to do that.
So they plan to head to Hendersonville today, and then they're going to work with the North Carolina Baptists on a mission to identify other areas, distribution sites that they can find in western North Carolina safely. They plan to make another delivery on Thursday. Laura Levine, WRAL News, live in Apex.
And right now, there are still more than 450,000 customers without power statewide. Most of those outages are focused, of course, on the western part of our state. And WRAL's Kelsey Coffey has been at the Duke Energy headquarters in Raleigh as utility crews from all over the state are helping out in western North Carolina to get the power back on.
There's just an overwhelming number of people who are still without power. Crews here from Duke Energy are working to get the job done. Utility crews from across the country are headed towards western North Carolina. More than 450,000 customers are still without power in our state. Roughly 90,000 of them are in Buncombe County. It could be days before customers can get back on the grid. Landslides and washouts are pushing back that timeline. Restoring power for hospitals, schools, and essential services are priority number one.
And many of those, as you get into western North Carolina and into the higher elevations, are very difficult to access and in some case involve severely damaged or destroyed infrastructure that will have to be rebuilt.
That was Jeff Brooks with Duke Energy. Several homes that you saw there covered in floodwater will have to be repaired before crews can work to restore power. So this is really a long road ahead for all of these families that have been impacted. Kelsey Coffey, WRAL News in Raleigh.
Helene hit several universities in western North Carolina pretty hard. In just minutes, we're going to show you the moment the National Guard evacuated students from a campus.
And the deadline for a deal with dock workers is nearing. What a strike at North Carolina's ports could do to supply chains.
.14, checking radar. We have a little patch of showers and no thunder and lightning with this right now, but some heavy rain across parts of Harnett County, Johnston County, and the southern part of Wake County. We'll zoom in on that area. We had some rain move through Sanford, and of course now it's affecting at least the northern half of Harnett County here. Lillington, Dunn, Benson, over towards Four Oaks and Smithfield, kind of creeping by the southern part of Wake County, headed over toward Clayton. So not affecting Raleigh per se, or Durham, or really the real heavily traveled parts of our viewing area, except that area of I-40 south of Raleigh as you're heading down into Johnston County. Why are we seeing this batch of rain? We have a front that's stalled here, and that's helping to focus some of the tropical moisture that we have in place. We have a low pressure system that will slide across North Carolina over the next 48 hours, and that's going to help to bring another chance of some showers later on this afternoon as well as tomorrow. This is actually the remnants of Helene, which sat over Tennessee and Kentucky over the weekend and basically dissipated. There's just a little bit of moisture left with that, and of course that front. And as it slides eastward, of course, we'll continue with the chance of some scattered showers and thunderstorms this afternoon. Here's 3 o'clock in the afternoon, and you can see it's fairly widespread. We're going to see the potential for some of those cells to produce some heavy rain and the potential for some isolated flooding as well. So, it seems like we've had enough rain, doesn't it? But it doesn't look like we're quite done with it yet. From the Triangle area eastward, we have a low risk for flooding. So areas that tend to flood fairly frequently, we could see some minor flooding there, and then a medium chance for flooding, mainly north and west of I-85. That's where we could see up to an inch of rain. Around the Triangle, probably going to be a quarter of an inch or so. So not a lot of rain, but in this situation, it may not take a whole lot of rain. We're so saturated from Thursday and Friday's rain, as well as just the rain that we've seen over the last couple of months. Our low pressure system will slide eastward, continuing to bring a chance of some showers tomorrow. That's 4:30 on Tuesday. And then finally, high pressure comes in to the rescue, bringing us some drier conditions. It's not going to scour out the tropical feeling air, so it's still going to feel humid, but it will at least bump down our chance for rain. Almost 50 inches so far at RDU this year, and of course we're just starting October, so this is going to be 14 inches above normal, wettest year to date. Checking the tropics, unfortunately it looks like there's a chance of a system developing here in the Caribbean again, basically in the same place that Helene developed, and possibly moving across Florida. It's a 50% chance that develops. The next system to get a name will be Kirk, and it may be 12 sitting out here off the coast of Africa. It could become a Category 3 storm, but it looks like that storm, as well as Joyce and Isaac, are just going to stay out in the Atlantic. But we'll be watching the potential for that development there in the Gulf over the next week or so. Going to be fairly warm Friday and Saturday, but a front comes through on Sunday that may help to scour out some of that humidity. I'll show you the timing for that coming up, Ken.
8:17, Elizabeth. A couple of troubled spots to report this morning. Let's start with you folks coming in from Lee and Moore County. You're looking at this huge delay there on US 1 and those northbound lanes. I would recommend using Highway 540 as an alternate route. It's a toll road, but at least it'll get you around the situation there on US 1 coming in from Apex, in the Apex area. The other part of US 1 coming in from Wake Forest, you're looking at some delays as well coming in those southbound lanes. And speaking of delays, that's what I'm talking about. You're looking at a 10-minute delay for our good friends coming in from Wake Forest, a 7-minute delay coming in for 87, but the real trouble spot is that 25-minute delay on US 1 and those northbound lanes. I want to isolate the Beltline just for a minute and show you what's going on. There's the south side of the Beltline. You're looking at a 3 to 5 minute delay on the south side. Not so bad on the northern route. So if you're coming in from Garner or Johnston County, you're trying to get to All Points West, I would recommend using the north side of the Beltline just to be on the safe side and avoid the delays, because this is what you're seeing. This is I-40 and Rock Quarry Road. Traffic is definitely picking up in those westbound lanes right there.
Thanks, Ken. Appalachian State University, Western Carolina University, and UNC Asheville will not have classes this week as they deal with devastation from Helene. App State and Western Carolina have called off class until Friday. Officials advise parents and others not to travel to the area and have asked students to stay in the area. UNC Asheville says classes are suspended until next Wednesday, October 9th.
And Michelle, all students at Lee's McRae College in Banner Elk have left campus. The National Guard stepped in to assist 7 of the students and their pets to evacuate to Hickory. You can look at these photos shared on the college Facebook page. The students have been picked up and are staying in the Charlotte area at last check. Classes at the college are suspended this week.
And we talked to FEMA's Deputy Administrator Eric Hooks about what kind of federal help is on the way.
We have pre-positioned supplies, both meals and water, to be brought into the area. We certainly understand that cell phone service is problematic in the area. We are assisting the state with assessing the needs of communications in the area. We are also connected with the Army Corps of Engineers, who has provided technical assistance.
It will take weeks or months to repair all of the roads. And here's some important information on your screen right now. Homeowners and renters who want to apply for FEMA assistance should go to disasterassistance.gov or call that number 800-621-3362. And we have a list of people who have reported being safe from the storm. That's on WRAL.com. To mark yourself safe, please reach out to us using the form in that online story and use the subject line NC Safe List.
At least 2 high schools are holding donation drives at their football games tonight. Willow Spring High School in Wake County and Lakewood High School in Sampson County are collecting supplies. This is for people in the mountains. Other schools will hold similar supply drives this week during this time. We're watching that very carefully. You can find a full list by going to highschoolot.com. Helene's impact is extending beyond Western North Carolina. Wilson County school leaders say that deliveries and product shortages could happen because of Helene's effect on distributors, and that could lead to menu changes for school meals in the weeks ahead. The district says that it will do its best to keep its online menus updated.
People in Florida also cleaning up after Hurricane Helene. One resident near Clearwater was shocked to find 11 boats in his front yard. He says his home is destroyed, and nearby at an apartment complex, others were throwing out furniture and belongings as their first floor had just flooded out. Some say just getting to their homes is a challenge.
Your time is 8:21 this morning. In less than 24 hours, a major strike involving thousands of workers could happen on the East Coast. That includes ports in Wilmington. The International Longshoremen's Association represents 85,000 workers, and a strike could cost nearly $500 million per day. This could force major stores to find other ways to get their products into the country. The workers are demanding a better contract because they want higher wages and more protections against automation.
5 people, including a child, died in a plane crash in the Outer Banks over the weekend. The National Park Service says 4 adults and 1 child were the only people on board. This happened at the Wright Brothers National Memorial's First Flight Airport in Kill Devil Hills on Saturday. The NTSB and the FAA are investigating.
New research revealed a disturbing pattern involving social media and child sexual abuse. The results were presented over the weekend at a pediatrics conference in Orlando, and researchers found nearly 7% of children ages 10 to 18 treated for sexual assault between 2018 and 2023 met their attacker through social media. Researchers said social media can present a false sense of security and friendship too.
Today, Link Transit will expand service to the city of Mebane. The city approved bringing its Orange Route 2 and its complimentary paratransit service for a 1-year trial period. Orange Route 2 will bring services to the park and ride lot near the Tanger outlets. And from there, you'll be able to catch the Go Triangle route to Durham, part service to Chapel Hill, and Orange County public transit services. Well, the situation in Asheville and other parts of western North Carolina is dire after Helene's devastation. Coming up, a look at the rough conditions there 3 days after that storm rolled through.
And both presidential candidates have made comments about the heartbreaking destruction that happened west of us here. You're going to hear this morning what they had to say about the destruction at Helene's Path. That story just ahead.
As you get into your car, tune to WRAL News Plus on your radio. In Raleigh on 99.3 FM. In Durham, 96.5 FM. And everywhere on 101.5 HD3.
Good morning. Happy Monday. Time now is 8:26. I'm Michelle McConaughey. We are starting to see some showers pop up in our southern communities. Meteorologist Elizabeth Gardner showing us exactly where that rain's falling.
Take a look at this from Sanford up through Lillington, just north of Dunn, Smithfield, Clayton, just south of Raleigh, seeing this rain that's popped up. Some of this is heavy, so if you happen to be traveling down I-40 into Johnston County, you're going to run into some of that heavy rain there, probably for the next hour to hour and a half. We'll also have a chance for some scattered thunderstorms later on this afternoon. We could see as much as a quarter of an inch to an inch, depending on where you are.
Hey, Elizabeth, happening now in the WRAL Traffic Center. We've got a really troubled spot this morning, really on US 1, coming in from Apex this morning. So you're coming in from Lee County, from Moore County. You're looking at quite a bit of delay. I would use Highway 540 as an alternate route. And speaking of delays, let's look at some of those delays. You're looking at an 11-minute. That was up to 25 minutes a little bit ago. I have an update at the bottom of the hour over on Fox 50.
Thanks, Ken. Local groups working to get supplies to western North Carolina, one of the areas hardest hit by Helene. These are videos from Summit Church, Capitol Hills, who also collected cases of water from its congregation yesterday. If you are looking for ways to help, you can scan the QR code on the bottom of your screen. And today, Johnston County families can learn more about student assignment plans. An info session is happening at Wilsons Mills Elementary School from 6 to 8 p.m. Another one will be held tomorrow at Swift Creek Middle School. You can hear about the proposed plan and give your feedback. Next on Fox 50, what conditions are looking like in some of the places hardest hit by Helene. And next on Today, catching up with Kate McKinnon live in Studio 1A.
Shot in 4K ultra high definition. Your number one source for local news. WRAL News. Coverage you can count on.
I'm Brett Neese live in Biltmore Village in downtown Asheville, where work is still underway to clean up from the effects of Hurricane Helene. The catastrophic damage here in the downtown area, unbelievable to see. We'll take a closer look at it and hear from some of the residents, some of the heartbreaking stories that are coming out of this area.
I'm tracking some rain on Dual Doppler 5000 radar south of Raleigh. I'll show you whether or not you'll be impacted for your morning commute.
And teams from across the state are working to restore power for hundreds of thousands of people. We have an update on the efforts to restore power 3 days after Helene hit North Carolina. And we know so many people have been reaching out, wondering, what can I do to help?
Yeah.
We've been talking about this morning, the different donations that are happening around our area. We'll get to that in just a bit. We just want to say good morning and thank you for joining us here on Fox 50. I'm Chris Lovingood.
And I'm Michelle McConaughey. We'll get to all of that coming up. But first, we're going to start with meteorologist Elizabeth Gardner. She's tracking some rain a little closer to home here.
Yeah, we had this rain develop overnight last night. We just have a lot of tropical moisture in place. You know, over the weekend, we had some sunshine, but we went outside in the afternoon. It just felt like summer, really hot and humid. So this moisture that's still lingering is interacting with the boundary this morning, creating these showers showers that we're seeing in some of our southern county, or well, central to southern counties. Lillington seeing some rain, Fort Oaks, Smithfield, parts of Johnston County, around Fuquay Varina. It's very slowly lifting northward into Wake County. Likely to start seeing some of this around Garner, maybe in the next 30 to 45 minutes. Clayton also, you're going to be in line for seeing some of this rain, and it is coming down pretty heavily into some spots. Later this afternoon, another round of scattered showers and thunderstorms. Scattered, but some of those will produce some heavy rain as well. And so there's the potential for some isolated flooding later on today. I'm going to show you the map of who may be most affected. We take a look at Sanford, where we did have some rain moving through just a little while ago. It is 72 in the Triangle with a dew point 71. So very, very sticky, heavy air mass. And it will be a warm afternoon, too, with highs in the low 80s. We still have some storms that we're tracking in the tropics. I'll show you what we're watching coming up in just a bit. Ken?
Elizabeth, at 8:32, we've got a situation brewing there on those southbound lanes of 87. We're getting reports of a right lane being blocked because of that crash near South New Hope Road. You can see the huge backup it's causing there on 87. If you can get off on Smithfield Road, if you're listening to us on the radio and make your way over to Pool Road, that's a great alternate route for you this morning. Also, we're seeing major backups this morning coming in from all points south in US 1, Lee County, Moore County, in the Apex area. I would recommend Highway 540 as an alternate route. It's a toll road, but it'll get you around that slowdown that we're seeing. We're seeing the usual congestion building on US 1 coming in from Wake Forest this morning. Speaking of delays, let's look at those delay times this morning. Coming in from US 1 out of Apex, that used to be up to 25 minutes. Now you're down to 11 minutes. So it's getting a little better this morning. The other trouble spot, of course, is those southbound lanes coming in from Wake Forest and US 1. And right there at 87, you're really just looking at a 5-minute delay coming in from 87 in those southbound lanes.
Ken, thank you. This morning, Western North Carolina is grappling with the widespread devastation left behind from Helene. In Buncombe County alone, more than 90,000 customers are still without power, and at least 30 people have been killed in Buncombe County. That's because of flooding from Helene, as well as 2 sheriff's deputies being a part of that. Today, Governor Roy Cooper will join other state leaders as well as FEMA officials in Nashville to assess the storm damage and the response efforts. Let's bring in WRAL's Brett Neese. He is in Asheville this morning, and specifically you're at Biltmore Village. Tell me a little bit about what it just looks behind there with you, Brett, and the destruction that's happened.
Yeah, Chris, now that the sun is up, we are getting our first look at some of the catastrophic damage here behind me in the downtown area, Biltmore Village. It's unbelievable to see. I'm going to turn around and kind of just describe it for you. This historic Biltmore Village sign right here at the entrance to this district, all of that debris scattered around it. You see some of the debris just hanging in the trees. It's unbelievable to look at when you first get a glimpse at this in person. And as we zoom in down this main stretch, there's just pile after pile of debris that they have cleaned up and essentially just put together so that someone at some point can haul off into another area and get it out of here. But at this point, this is what it looks like. And as we zoom back out, you see the roadway itself is still covered in mud. They've actually done their best to clean off as much mud as they can. And then you see this large barrel right here. That is not supposed to be there. It is unbelievable that the amount of water that rushed through this area was able to carry that massive barrel, wedge it right there between that tree and that lamppost. We talked to one resident here in this area who says that she's a longtime resident and it is such a unique place that they are able to identify what debris goes to which bar or restaurant. Take a listen.
All over the river, you can identify which brewery, which shop, which winery, plebe. You can tell as you look at the wreckage.
And there's about 15,000 technicians in this part of the country, in this part of the state, trying to get power back on as quickly as possible. It will take weeks, if not months, to clean this up. Live in Asheville, Brett Neese, WRAL News.
And Jeff Hogan in the WRAL Live Center. And Brett showed you the ground view there. I want to give you a look at some drone footage. We just got into the WRAL newsroom from NBC Network here. This is in Asheville. This is showing the unprecedented devastation that local folks are talking about there. And it's showing the flooding just wiped out parts of one of our state's most popular tourist towns there. Folks are struggling, as Brett said, to get fuel and food and clean water, and it's just saturated the entire central Appalachian region here. As you look at some of this video here, the river on the left and then a road right there down the middle. It's hard to tell the difference between the two there. Big picture, across several states, there are more than 2 million customers without electricity from this storm. We are also getting our first estimates of damage and economic loss from the entire storm, all states included in this. AccuWeather puts the number between $145 and $160 billion in damage.
So overwhelming to see that. Thanks, Jeff. Well, people here in the Triangle are chipping in to help their neighbors to the west. And WRAL's Laura Levine gives us a look at the truckloads of supplies going out and how you can help.
Volunteers here at Apex Baptist Church loaded up 3 trucks this morning with cases of water just like this. Water is such a dire and critical need in western North Carolina, and that's where they're headed. So you can see them gathering here dark and early as they were loading up the trailers attached to those trucks. The church was full of supplies this morning, ready to be delivered. The lead pastor here tells me he felt called upon yesterday during his sermon to ask for water donations, and before the service ended, they became overwhelmed with that support. In a briefing Sunday, officials said hundreds of thousands of residents may not have access to water for weeks in western North Carolina due to major infrastructure damage to dozens of water plants. Lead pastor Zab Cook, who is from Florida and recently experienced Hurricane Michaels back in 2018, he tells me he knows firsthand what these people are dealing with.
When you don't have access to clean drinking water, man, you really begin to panic. You begin to think, okay, what are we going to do? And there's so many families, they have no way to get out of where they are. So the need for clean drinking water and then not having the ability to get to any type of water is so tragic.
So they plan to head to Hendersonville today at a distribution site there. Then they are going to partner with the North Carolina Baptist on a mission to find other distribution sites in areas they can access safely in western North Carolina. They will make a second delivery on Thursday. Laura Levine, WRAL News in Apex.
And this morning, there are still more than 450,000 customers without power statewide. Most of those outages are focused in the western part of our state. Teams are working all day just to try to restore power, but it could be a while before some see their electricity return. WRAL's Kelsey Coffey has been at the Duke Energy headquarters in Raleigh this morning and has the latest in the restoration efforts.
There's just an overwhelming number of people who are still without power. Crews here from Duke Energy are working to get the job done. Utility crews from across the country are headed towards western North Carolina. More than 450,000 customers are still without power in our state. Roughly 90,000 of them are in Buncombe County. It could be days before customers can get back on the grid. Landslides and washouts are pushing back that timeline. Restoring power for hospitals, schools, and essential services are priority number one.
And many of those, as you get into western North Carolina and into the higher elevations, are very difficult to access and in some case involve severely damaged or destroyed infrastructure that will have to be rebuilt.
That was Jeff Brooks with Duke Energy. Several homes that you saw there covered in floodwater will have to be repaired before crews can work to restore power. So this is really a long road ahead for all of these families that have been impacted. Kelsey Coffey, WRAL News in Raleigh.
Both presidential candidates spoke about the destruction Helene left behind in western North Carolina. Harris offered her condolences last night during a rally in Las Vegas.
And with these communities for as long as it takes to make sure that they are able to recover and rebuild.
And former President Donald Trump also gave his condolences during a rally yesterday in Erie, Pennsylvania.
In particular, western North Carolina took a tremendous hit. It's been absolutely devastated, and God be with you all.
Both the Trump and Harris campaigns have made stops in western North Carolina during their campaign runs. Long lines fill the lots of the few gas stations that are stocked with gasoline in western North Carolina. Coming up, what the state is doing right now to prevent price gouging at those rare active pumps.
And a computer issue made travel a lot trickier at RDU yesterday. The hoops passengers and airport staff had to jump through with manual ticketing. That's just ahead.
Now, come on, South Hill, Virginia. We didn't forget about you. Yes, we show some cameras here in North Carolina, but we know you get our signal as well. As you're actually pretty foggy out there this morning as you're watching WRAL News. And I think it was actually kind of foggy in some places here locally, but that's mostly cleared up, hasn't it, Elizabeth?
It has. We still have some cloud cover out there. And I'm also tracking some rain that we're seeing from Wake County southward through Johnston County and Harnett County. Those are the three counties affected right now. We'll zoom in, and you can see that rain's pretty heavy from Andrew back off to the southwest toward Lillington, and then Smithfield just north of I-95. That's going to head northward and eastward. And of course, we're seeing this rain moving right across I-40 up toward Clayton and the southern part of Wake County. We'll zoom in here a little more closely. Most likely you're going to see this in Garner probably in the next 15 minutes or so. Also starting to get a little closer to Holly Springs, raining in Fuquay Arena, and of course Andrew down to the south too. So yeah, this is a wet situation that we're dealing with in parts of the viewing area this morning. We'll have another chance for some scattered showers and thunderstorms mid to late afternoon, and some of those cells will be heavy at times, so we do have the risk of some isolated flooding later on today. We have a low risk from the Triangle area southward and eastward, and a medium risk along and north there of the Virginia line. So just keep that in mind. Places in that region that tend to flood easily could flood today. It's likely to be minor, probably up and down pretty quickly, but still just be on the lookout. We had some rain move through Sanford. It's still wet here this morning. 72 is our temperature, and our dew point is 71. So it's very warm, sticky start this morning, and the humidity sticks around for a few more days. 81 in Raleigh, 78 Durham, 86 in Fayetteville. Muggy meter way up here at tropical, and then by Wednesday drops down, but only one category. We're not even really going to make it down to comfy, maybe until Sunday, hoping for that by Sunday. But take a look at our temperature change. This is showing where temperatures are above normal here, and the yellows and the reds. Notice how we brighten things up a little bit on Sunday and into Monday. Still just a little bit above normal, but not way above normal. So high pressure builds in. We're going to see our flow coming out of the northeast on Sunday, and that should help to drop our humidity. Our temperature should be pretty comfortable too at 76, and our overnight lows are back down into the 50s. But in the meantime, we're looking at a chance of showers and thunderstorms this afternoon, and we may see more of those tomorrow too.
All right, we're going to check the morning commute this morning, Elizabeth. Let's look at our maps this morning so we can see exactly what's going on. We were looking at some troubled spot this morning coming in on 87, but I think that really has cleared up really nicely this morning as we look at our maps, as we go through our maps this morning. A lot of the incidents you're seeing really has nothing to do with what's slowing down. Right now, we're seeing that right lane blocked in 87, causing a little bit of a slowdown. But I tell you what, if you can get off on Smithfield Road, you get over to Pool Road, that's your best bet. The other option, the other problem spot we have is Apex at US 1, those northbound lanes coming in. Highway 540 is really an alternate route. Keep in mind it's the toll road, but it'll get you around that slowdown. We're seeing the usual Wake Forest Road slowdown coming in on US 1 on Capitol Boulevard. And speaking of delays, look at those delay times. Listen at this. US 1 coming in from Apex and Out Point South. That used to be up to 25 minutes. Now it's down to just 8 minutes, which is a good thing. The other trouble spot is US 1 coming in from Wake Forest. You're looking at a 9-minute delay, and things are definitely beginning to improve in those southbound lanes of 87 coming in from Nightdale.
Ken, thank you. Drivers in western North Carolina are on the hunt for gas. Long lines like this one right here on your screen can be seen at stations that have fuel, while other stations are out. That's because of disruptions from Helene. North Carolina's price gouging law is in effect right now. Keep that in mind. The State Department of Justice has a consumer protection phone line, and that's open right now. The number is 1-877-5-NO-SCAM, or you can visit the Department of Justice website.
People in our area are getting together to help out the western part of our state devastated by Helene. Anderson Automotive Group's Raleigh dealerships loaded up 3 vehicles and trailers with supplies. When the curfew is lifted this morning, they will be taken to Asheville.
We started hearing about what kind of terrible shape our folks were in up in the mountains. We've got maybe 300 employees up in the Asheville area, and a lot of them are in dire straits, no power, no cell phones, some of them no homes, no clothes, no blankets, access to food, the grocery stores are empty. So, all these guys rallied.
That's amazing to see. Supplies will also be collected at the dealership locations in Sanford and Charleston, South Carolina.
Even the Carolina Hurricanes are stepping up efforts to support the people in Western North Carolina. Hurricanes President Doug Worf announced that all ticket revenue from Wednesday night's exhibition game against the Nashville Predators will go directly to hurricane relief. The game will be at the Lenovo Center with general admission tickets available for just $10. Parking will be free, and fans can also contribute through concession sales and a silent auction too.
And this morning, a major interstate outside of Atlanta is closed and people are out of their homes after a huge chemical plant fire sparked yesterday. And now there are questions about how safe the air is to breathe. This is happening in the city of Conyers. Officials say about 5 o'clock Sunday morning, a sprinkler malfunctioned, causing a chemical to start the fire. The fire is now out, but officials are worried about the air quality. No injuries have been reported. The Environmental Protection Agency is monitoring the air, but there is no timeline of when that area will be safe.
An equipment malfunction at RDU caused computers to go down for hours yesterday. The parking lot ticket machines specifically were not working. That meant airport staff had to do manual transactions for about, again, 3 hours.
The U.S. Justice Department is suing Alabama after the state removed more than 3,000 names from the eligible list of voters for the upcoming election. The move violates a 90-day period before an election during which officials cannot systematically remove people from a list of voters. Alabama's Secretary of State says he removed the names because they were allegedly non-citizens. He acknowledged that some may have become naturalized citizens and may have been eligible to vote. More than 700 people removed from the list have since re-registered successfully.
County election boards all across the state are preparing for people to come to cast their votes for the 2024 election. Voting system checks will happen today in Cumberland County. Workers will run hundreds of mock ballots through the machines to check for accuracy.
And happening today, the Apex Police Department is hosting a golf tournament for a good cause. This morning, teams of 4 will hit the fairway at Benwin's Country Club. The game starts at 9 o'clock and team spots are limited. The money from this tournament goes to the Special Olympics North Carolina.
In Sampson County, if you are looking to adopt a pet, then today could be the day to do it. The county animal shelter is having a special low adoption fee day. Pet fees are $25 and instead of the typical range of $70 to more than $100. This is being done as the Sampson County Animal Shelter struggles with overcrowding, and they'll be open from 1 p.m. to 7 p.m. today, and they're also hosting a low-cost rabies shot clinic.
You may have some trouble listening to some of your favorite artists on YouTube. The company has blocked songs by Adele, Bob Dylan, Green Day, and many more because of a legal dispute with the performing rights organization CSAC. A similar dispute between Universal Music Group and TikTok happened earlier this year. It went on for months before it was resolved.
And back here in the WRAL Live Center, happening within the last hour, DirecTV has announced it has agreed to terms to buy Dish Network for $1. I'm going to tell you about the strings attached to it, but there have been decades of rumors about the satellite services merging. Companies have struggled to retain subscribers in the streaming area with the advent of Netflix and Hulu and Amazon Prime Video. Under the deal, DirecTV will pay Dish's owner $1 to take over the company, but the catch, in exchange for assuming it's billions of dollars in debt. If they combine, the new service would have about 20 million subscribers.
Always a catch, right? All right, thanks, Jeff. Well, the original Plastics are back. Mean Girls is returning to theaters for its 20th anniversary. I love this. You can try once again to make fetch happen this Thursday, October 3rd, Mean Girls Day, and then also Sunday, September 6th.
Gosh, Michelle, stop trying to make fetch happen. Goodness. That's right. I've seen the movie. I love the movie.
It's amazing.
All right, and coming up, we're going to continue to talk more about the devastation that has unfolded regarding the regarding Helene out west in the mountains. So many people trying to get help out there right now, and we are following that here this morning on WRAL News. We'll see you in just a bit.